What's happening, everybody? My name is Bryce, the host of the Sugarshack podcast. We're back with another episode with the one and only Mike Love. Come on, give it up, everybody.
Let's go.
Shout out to the live audience here tonight at a Sugarshack Sessions experience. We had an awesome dinner, awesome drinks from Chartreuse at a craft cocktail lounge in town that runs our open bar here. It's been an awesome night. How you feeling, Mike?
I'm feeling great. Yeah, had a wonderful time sharing some songs and just happy to be here with you guys. Beautiful Florida, great weather here.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Not every session, like some sessions are crews talking in the back, fucking around, whatever.
Like
Dude,
right now.
Like right now, exactly. They're like, we hear these all the time, it's all of our wives and shit. But, dude, I mean, the place just was captivated by your session, man. And
cool.
I know you hear that a lot, but just thank you for showing up and just giving something fresh and just refreshing for us here, man.
Thanks, man.
How do you feel that this session went?
Yeah, it felt great. I mean, there's always like every time I do something and it's filmed, it's like captured. I always think, I could have done better. I could, I did this wrong or whatever. But it's just I think it's a snapshot of a moment in time. It's never going to be perfect, right? But it's beautiful to capture that energy. Like you said, the people being focused on it. It's a beautiful thing when that happens, because I've been in every kind of circumstance over the years, and when I started, a lot of it was just playing for people that didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was doing, or I probably wasn't even doing it that well, So I played through a lot of that chatter and that kind of like lack of focus, and it's always the best when everybody's tuned in, but it's also like everything in between is cool too, and it's an experience that teaches you how to kind of draw that in. I think being having people not be focused on it and not be drawn in, it's like over time you kind of learn, I think, just energetic techniques to pull people in.
Like how to pull people in with you. Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a really cool book that was written by Victor Wooten called The Music Lesson.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, Victor Wooten's an incredible musician.
Yeah, incredible musician, but also a really, really great philosopher as well.
Wow.
If you ever see him talking about music, he's got a lot of really, really beautiful wisdom to share. And that book, The Music Lesson, it's like kind of feels like if Carlos Castaneda sat down and wrote a book about music, about life. It's very, very spiritual, and kind of one of the things that he talks about in that is being able to use your energy to bring people in and bring them into focus and be a part of the music. And yeah, that's what live performance is all about.
Think about his life, and I mean how he could captivate an audience, and it's just him on a 6-string bass, it's just standing up there by himself doing Amazing Grace with all harmonics and stuff, tuning on the fly.
I mean, the beautiful thing about that, about him and the way that he plays is he can play up, he could be up there with just his bass playing, but you can hear the other instruments, because when he talks about playing, he's like, if you're playing and you're playing a song that has a groove to it and has normally would have a drummer, it's like you have to really play like the drummer is there. You have to be hearing and feeling the drummer in your head while you're playing. And if you do that, if you get good enough at it, then even though the drummer's not there, you can still hear the drummer when
fill
somebody,
that part in.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, as a musician that plays solo by myself a lot, it's kind of something that I think a lot about, because sometimes you hear somebody and it's even, what I do is kind of complicated. There's a lot of sound coming out, but sometimes songs can be their most powerful in the most simplest stripped down form, and you can hear somebody playing just an acoustic guitar and a vocal, or a piano and a vocal, and it's just it sounds just massive, huge, and it's not even just the sound that's coming out that's really filling it up, but it's the energy, the emotion in the voice, in the instrument, And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to fill every frequency. It just has to be complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things can be complete without much going on. You know, they could be simple. Sometimes it's just best to keep it that way.
Yep.
Awesome.
I think your set tonight was a great example of that.
Great example
there was
of that.
huge
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
then there was just you and a guitar.
Very
singing.
intimate. Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's each has its place. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a beautiful band, incredible musicians, and I love playing with them because it is just so much sound, and when you have musicians that work well together, you can have like a lot of stuff going on and everything's still in its place. That's the beauty of reggae music. You know, a lot of the bands are very big, and it's a lot of musicians doing very intricate, spacious parts and fitting together in a perfect groove, and it's like it's a huge sound with a lot of musicians, but not a lot of people are, the guitar player is not going. You know what I mean? The guitar player's just going.
Right.
Right.
Because that's what its job, its role is to fulfill. And it's not easy. Like, it's actually easier to go.
Yeah.
Because your hand's just doing everything. But it's harder to have the space,
Right.
in between. And when you hit it and you're a little early, it's like it really stands out if you're not on time when you're giving it that much space.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of the greatest reggae musicians are the ones that can just play the simple parts,
space,
play what's needed without, varying and keeping a steady hypnotic groove. There's so much of that, kind of hypnotic nature in reggae music.
So sick. Love it. Stoked to have Eddie here joining us. Eddie Kopp,
Hey, guys.
founder, director of Sugarshack.
Oh, hey guys.
Eddie's popular around here these days. We're very proud of Eddie. Not that kind of
Bryce.
podcast.
Not this episode.
Not with Mike. Maybe a little stranger or something like that.
No.
I could take my shirt off.
Yeah. No, the difference is those that you're not peer pressuring us to take our shirts off.
It's like borderline hazing.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know we kind of have talked about it a little bit in the past, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. Mike Love has been a very big influence on this channel, especially in the origins. And so I would love for you to just give the audience and people listening just a little bit of that story, because maybe they don't know, the backstory of that.
Totally. I've shared this with you, Mike, and I know Justin has in the past, but we saw Mike on High Sessions. I mean, it had to have been 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And Permanent Holiday absolutely blew my mind, like it did the rest of the internet. And, that was in a time where the band that I was in at the time was the band I thought that was going to take me, going to be my career, right? I put all my eggs in that basket and hit the pavement with the boys. And it wasn't that. We split up. And there was a time where I had joined the military, trying to find my way, and I was just working in a restaurant, and I dropped out of college, and I always had like cameras in my life, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were you doing video stuff throughout?
Yep, I found like filmmaking and videography in college. I was filming my friends wakeboarding and skateboarding, and I just had a natural knack for it, and started helping my friends get sponsored, and then started putting myself out there and doing real estate videos, and then doing wedding videography, and just building from there. And then meeting, the four guys that started this with me, they all did cameras or audio as well. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I saw High Sessions, Permanent Holiday, and it was filmed in a dining room of a guy's house. And it was right around the time that I was really pushing myself in filmmaking, and I was putting myself out there and starting to take on music videos. And I had a band in town called named SoFlo. And they said, we have this new acoustic track. Do you want to shoot the video for it? I said, yeah. And of course, let's give it a try. And I said, I just moved into this cool little house in Bonita. And I have a really, really cool and aesthetic back deck. Let's put the band there and we'll make something cool. And I remember being on the line in the kitchen at Roost Chris Steakhouse. I worked there with Justin. And I knew Justin was a photographer. And I was like, does your camera do video? You have a Mark II, right? And he's like, yeah, I think it does. I'm like, you want to shoot a video with me? I need a second camera, and I know you're a photographer. I know you got a good eye and a natural knack for it. Let's see if we can make a cool video. And we made that video, and it's still on the internet. And I remember seeing the composition of the band in there, and there was just something special about the band sitting in a half
So
circle.
was it this was like a live video, or it was a music video for the song,
It was
for a
technically
recorded
a
song?
music video.
Okay.
It was pre-recorded. They sang
Yeah.
to it.
Okay.
But we wanted to create it to look like it was as live as possible.
Oh, okay.
Classic. So anyways, I made this.
Yeah, right.
Classic.
No, yeah, I mean, it.
was recorded live, but they did several takes and we made more videos.
Recorded live here?
Yeah.
Whoa. I don't remember that. Cool. So yeah.
There's the photographer guy.
Yeah, there's
there,
Justin,
there he
my
is.
guy. But I just remember seeing the band in this space, and I've always been intrigued by session channels and MTV Unplugged and things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I just had this like vision of a session channel on this back deck, and that band that I was in had broken up, and I feel like I knew every band in Florida, and I had played with some bigger bands. Like my band had opened up for Pacifier and Tribal Seeds, and I had a little bit of network in like the next tier, you know, not just local. So I somehow talked the guys into starting a session channel with me, and quit my job and went for it. But
Nice.
but the high sessions with Mike Love is truly what inspired the entire thing. Like seeing you
Pretty
play,
epic. It's pretty epic.
yeah, seeing you play in someone's house and creating such an energy and such an incredible performance, and I was like, I can do this.
Right, but you could appreciate because those guys like you, you know, they had like, you know, cranes and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
they did,
the production quality of
It
their
was.
video was really great.
Great
Yeah.
from the gates. I remember reaching out to the guy that started that right before I started Sugarshack, and I was like, would you get on a call with me and just kind of like, I don't know, talk me through how you did what you did? And he did. And,
Is that John?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's still going.
Yeah, so John Yamasato, who does high sessions. Actually, I went to high school with him, and he was part of a band in high school with a couple other guys.
Oh.
Lopaka Cologne, who's an incredible percussion player, and Jake Shimabukuro, who's like probably the world's most well-known ukulele player.
Oh, wow.
It's like a really virtuoso ukulele player that travels the world still and plays. But yeah, they were in a band called Pure Heart that was really popular in high school. So I knew him from way back then. And when they hit me up to do that thing, it was kind of funny because I didn't really have any kind of content on YouTube. I had a couple little things here and there, but I didn't really have anything, and I didn't really understand the value of it yet because, you know, in Hawaii is a really interesting kind of like musical microcosm because out there, you know, most places like pop music is the most popular stuff on the radio, and you kind of get a sense that most people are listening to the hits on the radio or whatever. But in Hawaii, it's like local music is the most popular music.
Right.
And not only that, there's like really thriving, flourishing, a lot of underground scenes. There's like kind of like the more popular Hawaiian kind of style, like contemporary Hawaiian reggae. And then there's also like at least at that time, there was a really great scene for like underground roots reggae. And I kind of had gotten popular with, you know, my first band, Melodious Solutions. And then I'd gotten even more popular with my band after that, Dub Conscious. And I had just kind of started doing my solo thing and had gotten a really good following locally doing gigs. And like everybody in the islands, you know, traveled to all the other islands. Everybody in the islands knew me. And like that was, in my mind, like that was the best, you know, that was that was my goal really as a young musician, was to like get popular in Hawaii and like be, you know, and so I really achieved that, and I didn't really have this great vision of touring outside of Hawaii and I was making the living, you know, I was able to like make a living playing music. I wasn't working a job for, you know, decades making a living. And so when I did that video, it was like, it was kind of early in the morning, and we had played a gig like the night before, and got home at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're like kind of like talking at late night as we were going home. We should just cancel this thing, like we should like too tired. We're gonna be too tired.
The conversations that happen that
For sure.
for us on our end. Yeah, we've been on the receiving end of those.
Yeah, right. So yeah, and and then we were like, no, those guys, it's gonna be, they already have all their things set up. We're like, we'll just go do it. So we did it,
So
and we
funny.
just went and did it, and like it was like, we played one take of each song, and was kind of like, didn't really put much thought into it, and then that was like the thing that really
Set it
I
off.
mean, that Permanent
Yeah.
Holiday video is now like, it's got 30 million plus views.
So cool.
Sick.
But it was like, right, I didn't even know what Reddit was at the time. My oldest son, like, he was like, hey, like your video's on the front page of Reddit. Like,
That's big time.
and I was like, and it had got like, at that point, it had got like, I don't know, like 5,000 views or something. And
Yeah.
I was, and that to me was like, oh wow, 5,000 views? That's
Yeah.
crazy, And then and then he's like, yeah, it's on the front page of Reddit. And I looked, and it was like over 1 million views, like overnight,
Sick.
And I was just
Wow.
like, wow, it blew my mind, And it's just, and then that's what really allowed me to start traveling and playing shows in the mainland and in Europe and South America, Australia, all over the world. And yeah, and it really just
Incredible.
came from that song, doing that session that, might not have, even if we had just gone like, we're not going to do it, then
Who knows?
yeah, who knows,
knows?
Wow.
But
incredible.
yeah, and then in turn, Sugarshack sessions happen
Boom.
too, So,
So cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, when did you guys first meet? Do you remember how you guys first met?
Well, you told me this story when we first met, and it was that first session that we did,
Reggae Rise Up.
which was another one, where I was just like
Early morning.
early in the morning, and I was like,
it was like 10 a.m.
yeah,
It was
we
10
were
a.m.
definitely contemplating not doing it,
I bet.
but it was
Showed up
a
in your
fun one.
pajamas.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. That was
Yeah.
such an incredible morning for us. Like,
Yeah, it was
those were
great.
For you guys, that was like such a
Oh my
huge
God.
win, right?
Dude, those were the days where we did festivals. We were doing pop-ups and we were doing recap. Like the same team of camera operators that are here tonight. Now we have split teams and we're doing pop-ups, and then half a team is doing we were doing both. So we had next day edits due, and then we had Mike Love at 10 a.m. So you're like up editing all night.
oh my God,
And then we
Yeah.
had Mike at 10. We had to set up and tear down because we were off-site at Green
Yeah.
Bench Brewing.
Oh, that's
And
right.
so like
That's
we
right.
had to
I
be
remember
there
that.
like 8 a.m. to set up,
Yeah.
make sure we're ready, and then it was just
yeah, and I had my band,
gauntlet.
I had my band
Full
at that
band.
time, so
Yeah.
it was.
It was
That was
such a
not
good
not as easy of a setup either.
some of my
Yeah,
favorites.
to get bands. Shout out to you guys. You got all those bands off site. You got them to get out of there and set up.
Get out of
into
bed
it.
and come see us, dude. We had Mike. We had
Duran Jones.
That's a different session,
Oh, okay.
different trip.
Different
We
trip.
had- this was
Duran
Regular
Jones.
Rise Up. So we had Mike Love. We had Jesse Royal, Revolution. I think that's it. I think that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Before doors. We had to be done before doors because we had to be at the festival to film the festival.
Start
Yeah.
filming. Wow.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
That's
what it takes.
but yeah, that's what it takes, and especially when you're like really trying to get something off the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
You really have to just like
grind.
grind and do the crazy
Do the
moves, and
damn
you know,
thing.
like
Team does that.
I mean, back when I was doing like, coming up and kind of making my thing happen. Sometimes there would be days where I would do like 3 or even 4 gigs in a day. And
It's fucking bugs.
you just take every gig, take
Yeah.
every gig, take every opportunity,
Yeah.
and just make it all happen to make it work. And
Right.
and then when it finally starts flowing and things are good, then you can kind of be a little bit more selective, and
Yep.
and you can be like, yeah, we're not gonna like do the or you can hire more people, or
Right. Exactly.
get help, and you're not gonna have to like stay up 24 hours or 72 hours straight or whatever
Exactly.
at the festival, right?
Yeah.
Damn. That's awesome.
So we did.
We got dessert in the house. What are we looking at right now?
Oh,
Oh, I'll take
Vegan
it.
banana bread.
I'll take
Yeah.
one. Thank you.
I'll take one. Oh, wow. It's hot. It's hot.
Chef Greg and
you
Chef
want this?
Jerry.
thanks.
Yeah, we'll set the plate down because this is just a big. Wait, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good. Thank
Damn,
you.
this is gonna be a whole minute. Yeah, definitely napkin.
That's good.
That is good.
Wow.
Thanks.
Dinner was great.
Did you guys have this? Did you guys eat any of this?
We're last.
Shout out
Sure.
to Greg and Jerry.
So nice food was great.
Greg, you made this? He ain't listening.
Yeah, listen. They're packing up.
Nice.
Mike, what do you think about our new Sugarshack experience concept? You know, we sell 10 to 20 tickets per session now. People are flying in from all over the world and get dinner, you get
It's
drinks,
cool.
and
I didn't realize that you know, like you said, I made a post. I think we made a post Monday or something like that.
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Is Monday yesterday? Yeah. Yeah.
I had to think about it too. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do the shows and stop by the shack first. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it was a secret.
It's okay. It really is fun.
We've had people, you know, because it's a secret, you know, and they show up and their just mind explodes, their brain melts because they're like, I can't believe I'm seeing so and so right now. You
Mike
know,
Love.
Mike Love could have been, but they already knew.
There we go.
But I mean, probably some of you guys that bought tickets probably had a, you know, they knew I'm doing a tour in Florida.
People
Yep.
do that.
Kelly
Right.
figured it out. Kelly,
Yeah.
Kelly figured that out.
Yeah.
He DM'd me. He's like, "It's Mike Love. I know it."
Nice.
He figured it out. He investigates.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, you guys have all different kinds of artists. So, like, I mean, how often are you guys doing sessions here?
3 a month at least.
Yeah, 2 to 3 a month, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Our
So-
internal
Nice.
quota is 3 artists a month.
And you have a big, like, you know, do you guys always, like, is there a certain cap you cap the tickets at, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
20, right?
20.
Yeah.
20
And do you
tickets.
always sell 20 tickets, or is it sometimes just like just a few? Or
They're pretty much sold out. You know, the only exception would be late bookings. Like if something kind of comes up last minute, we're like, hey, it's a roll of the dice. Let's put it on the website. We might not sell it out. But if we give our audience enough time, they sell out. They're all
and what's
sold
the
out.
what's the farthest you've had somebody travel from?
What was that country? What,
Bahrain.
no. Hold
Bahrain.
on. We got you beat, I think.
The Middle East, Bahrain.
Bahrain in the
Bahrain,
Middle
wow.
East.
Came by herself, and she brought a gnome with her.
She had started. She was
I don't know.
she was kind of like locked down there during the pandemic,
Right.
And she discovered Sugarshack. What I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She had discovered Sugarshack, and she was so inspired that she started a session channel in her living room, and local musicians came and like recorded videos, and she created her own little gnome mascot called Enzo, and she
Nice.
brought him. She flew halfway around the world and brought him. And crazy enough, she's like a Florida native. Like her
That's right.
parents are Floridians, and
Wow.
she was finally having this big homecoming, and she was like, this was her homecoming, coming to like one of the first open sessions that
Wow.
we had
It
ever
was.
done.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Stream the clapper. It was like a whole thing. It was amazing.
yeah, it was just a beautiful
incredible.
moment. It
Wow.
was it was a beautiful.
And she didn't
moment.
know who she was seeing.
Bahrain.
She flew here to, you know, a
Yeah.
blind ticket.
And then
Yeah.
who was it?
Who was it?
I don't even I don't remember that part.
Yeah. Sorry.
They all blur together.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
us.
But it was good. Mike, you've got some new music that you've been working on and things like that. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you've been working on. I know I caught you in the middle of eating some banana bread.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have a. I haven't really announced much about it. I know people know I've been working on an album for years now. I started working on an album, I think it was in 2019 now, where we did the first sessions for this album.
Wow.
And now it's like it's all finally in the mixing stage, but it's a huge chunk of music that I recorded, and I kind of like was initially planning to make like a double album or something like that. And it's turning out like it's looking like it's going to be 3 volumes, so 3 albums that soon we'll be starting to release music from, because it's all the mixes are coming in now and everything. All the music's recorded and done and edited, and all the mixes are coming in. So I'm really excited about being released from under the weight of all of that. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I guess I've learned it's like a real Aries trait to be, to really follow things through to their completion. And that's like one of my strongest traits is like, if I do, start in on a project, I'll be obsessed with finishing it until it's done. It'll just kind of like eat away at me.
Yeah.
If I know something's like hanging,
I relate to this for sure.
Hanging there, it'll be there, in my mind. And so this project's been like that. And it's taken me so long because I started it out and like, in the midst of recording it and working on it, the whole COVID thing happened. I moved. It was a real big change for me. I moved from my home in Hawaii to Washington State, which just like pretty much stopped me working on it for like at least a year or so, because I was just like so focused on that move. And then when I did move to Washington, I was like in a really remote area, so I didn't have a place to record. So I did a lot of work building my home studio so I could really do some, quality recordings at home. And during that time, my drummer also quit the band, and he'd been somebody that was like, my best friend and I worked with for years and years and years. And it was like a real, like, very traumatic, like tough thing to kind of like deal with and work through all of that. And so a lot of those things kind of like kept, put dampers on me working on the album. So it's taken me a lot longer than I initially planned to work on. And at the same time, I've just kept adding and adding to it, adding more music to it. So I'm glad to be finally.
Yeah. It's so funny. I remember, it was some time ago, and I saw a video of you on social media that had surfaced from your account, and you were like, got to talk about the music. I'm working on it. The thing is like, I've been looking for this mic, and you just went into this whole search for this specific microphone had essentially held up your whole project, I guess, during that time.
I think I know what you're talking about. It was I was just looking for a certain kind of sound. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and which I did actually, and end up getting that mic and recording a lot of the vocals on it.
Cool.
It's like it's Telefunken 251. It's a classic like vintage vocal mic that a guy here in Florida makes, and he does his name's Dallas Upton, and he does, he machines all the parts, makes everything from scratch in his shop. Actually, like, came and met him, went to his shop and got the mic from him when I was on tour. It's a beautiful, amazing sounding mic.
Amazing.
I ended up like basically like redoing all of the vocals that I had done again, because I like the sound of this mic so much.
Wow.
At home. So yeah.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that. It takes time, but
it
it's
is
the
stuff like
persistent-
that too. That I'm just like, I listen to stuff over and over, and I just think, it's not like here where it's live. It's like you can do it again as much, especially when you have a studio at home. You can do it again as many. And I'm crazy because I'm there recording by myself too, and I'm the engineer. So sometimes I'll do like 50 takes. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like I will just like keep going in my mind because I'm always like, every time I do it, I'm like, I could
Is
do
there
it
a
better,
certain
you
point
know?
that you're just like, I gotta let it go. Like,
Yeah, there's
that's
always a
this-
point where you have to get get there and just like and
Just
let it go. But
accept
usually
it,
at that
yeah.
point, I'm just like totally disgusted with it, and I don't want to hear it anyways. You know, it kind of happens. I produced an album. It's just like when you're working on something like that, you're just listening to it over and over and over. And not only when you're, when you're working on it, you're tracking it, and then you got to go back and like decide which takes to use. And so you're listening to it, and then you're getting other musicians come in track stuff. You're listening to it, and then when it comes in at the end, you're mixing it, and you get a mix, and you're like, yeah, fix this, fix that, and then you're listening to it like thousands of times, and then by the time I get to that end point, it happens with every album. I'm like, I can't tell if it's
Can't
good.
even-
It sounds horrible to me, It's like I would never, But I got to that same point with I did the same kind of process and put all that energy into producing an album for my friend Paula Funga, and her last album, and it was the same thing with her music too, which I love, and I'm like, she's one of my favorite singers, and her music's so great. But
You're
even
like,
with her
"Again,
album,
do it again."
even with her album, I listened to it, I worked on it so much that by the end I was like, God, I do not want to listen to this anymore. But now after you take some time, it's you
Get some
you
fresh
don't listen to it
ears.
for a
Yeah.
year, and then you listen to it again, it's like, oh man, it's so good,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so awesome. I mean, yeah.
You're in that process, and so am I right now.
Yeah.
With our own bands.
Yeah, I'm in that
Oh.
process right now.
Yeah.
Deep in it. I'm like 90% there. I got a few more little things to do, but yeah, I'm ready. I feel the weight. It needs to be released. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's
So-
exciting.
So, something that's really special about, maybe I should finish chewing this before I,
You're good. It's laid back manners here.
something that's really special about this album that the title of the album is Leaders. And something that's very special about it, I think, for me is like, you guys might have experienced this, but when you play a song live and you really like, it has a feeling and energy and a sound, and then you record it and you're just like, it just didn't really capture that, And I have that feeling with all of my albums. A lot of times I listen back to them, I'm like, we played it so fast, or like we played it too slow, or and so with this album, what we did, and on the past albums, it's been like, we'll track a rhythm section and then add horns and add keys and add guitars and overdub everything. And then the difference with this album is I really had a band that had been playing together a lot, and just like really, we have a thing when we play together. It's a real synergy. And so I wanted to capture that, and I didn't want to go in and be like, learning the songs for the studio to just learn them. So we started months and months before. We learned all the material, we rehearsed it a bunch, and then we played it a lot at home in Hawaii. We played all these songs live for the audiences, and the thing that happened when I did that was, I would record it and listen to it, and I would realize, this song, like, it feels like it's got to come, come slower, or really, really kind of reflecting on all of that. Or I would play the song and feel like, every time we get to this point in this song, and then it's this verse, and it feels like, I kind of we lose the momentum, lose the connection with the audience, because maybe it's too much of something. And so I would cut that part out and kind of go back and revise. And through that process of like experiencing the songs, playing them live, sharing them with an audience, I actually revised the music quite a bit before we went in. And then
Testing songs out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we went into the studio, we had this really, really well rehearsed and well oiled album, and I flew my whole band out to a studio in California, And we stayed there for a week straight. And I flew down a really legendary engineer, Jim Fox, who who did a lot of like the Roots Radix stuff with Israel Vibrations, a lot of that stuff, like a lot of legendary reggae albums. And more recently, he did all like the Groundation, Soja, Bamboo Station. Works with a lot of really. But he's old school, so he knows how to work a tape machine. And we did all the stuff, all the recordings to analog tape.
Nice.
Which is a really different experience than I was used to, because I was used to being able to like do 4 or 5 takes of a song, and then maybe like if we had a really good take but it didn't have a good bridge section or a good outro, I could, take a different one and splice it together. And probably a lot of you guys don't really know a lot about studio work, but we like in post-production, we do a lot of like what we call comping, which is like taking different tracks and taking the best parts of them and making one like really good one.
Yep.
And we didn't have that luxury because, we had, I think, 5 reels of tape, and the reels of tape are 30 minutes long, and they cost like $500 a piece, for the tape.
Wow.
So we didn't have it was like, we're going to get one good take of each song. And when you're doing that, and so I had my whole band with the horns, the B3, the piano, the, drums, bass, everything all playing together all at once. And when you do it that way, you play it, every single person in the band plays it right.
Yeah.
From start to finish. And if somebody messes up, even if you're like, and some of these songs are like over 10 minutes, So if you're like 9 minutes into the song and you hit a bad drum fill or something, then you go up and we rewind the tape and start again, And so it was like a lot of pressure for all of us.
Wow.
And we really prepared for it. And then we went there, we were there 7 days, and we were in the studio from, like anywhere from 10 to noon till like 2 in the morning every day, just 7 days straight. And we tracked it all and got it all done. Just at least the basic structure of it. And then, I went back and redid vocals and did a lot of overdubbing, added, horns and strings and percussion and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
And recorded a bunch of other songs after that as well. But, that bulk of it was really done like that. And it was a really, really special, amazing experience to be able to do it in that way. Like, it felt like this is the way that in the past, before we had all this technology that really allowed us to kind of cheat as musicians, and like guys just had to be that good. You had to be that good to be able to just play the whole song all the way through, perfect, start to finish, and and if you couldn't, then it was like, get out of the studio. Yeah. Let's get the guy that can do it.
Are you playing to click in that situation?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So that was a thing. Another thing that I did was to map out all the clicks. So when we were rehearsing, we would play the song, and it's a kind of a weird thing. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I experience it a lot where we'll play a song, or even me solo, I'll play a song, and then I'll see somebody Instagram recording of the video, and I'll be like, oh my God, it sounds like I'm sped up. Like I often it feels like when I'm playing it, it doesn't feel as fast as what it actually sounds like.
I hear you on that.
And as a band, we talked about it, and we all kind of agreed, like, wow, it's a phenomenon. And so we would play the songs and record them and go back and listen to it, and it'd be like, oh yeah, it's like way too fast, and I'd bring the click map down, and then we'd go back the next time, we'd play it again, record it, think, oh yeah, this is kind of, it feels really slow, but like it gets, and then we'd play it back, no, it still sounds fast.
Wow.
And then we would get it to like a point where it almost feel like we're like playing it in slow motion, like it feels so slow.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, oh, this feels so weird, it's so hard to play it like that. And then you listen back to it, and it's like, oh, that's it. It sounds like really grooving. Nice. And that's how we did it. And now when I listen back to the recordings, I'm like, they sound nice, like they're right there in the pocket, right where they need to be,
Yep.
I can relate to that, actually. You know, when I went up to record my EP with Mike from Coyote Island, you know, he slowed all of my stuff down, you know, just because it was the same thing, just trial and error. You know, you got to establish tempo, you know, to get go and stuff. But yeah, just realizing how quick stuff can be written when it's just like you and a guitar. You know what I mean? And then thinking about like the full song composition and how much has to fill space and what has to breathe, you know? So it is interesting. Stuff slower works out better a lot of times.
You know what I noticed too? I think it's just I think it's kind of a natural thing to do to kind of like, because you're feeling that hype and that energy when you're playing something live, to play it a little faster. So oftentimes, like I'll go back and like randomly listen to an idea I had of a song that when I was writing it, and it'll be like pretty slow. And then I'm like, wow, that's how I originally intended it to be, was like pretty slow. But then I got out and started playing it and got faster and faster.
Yeah.
And then you just grow accustomed to feeling it and singing it faster, and then it just feels normal.
Right.
And then you hear it back and you're like, whoa, sounds like I had that, yeah, it just felt like, wow, is that like sped up? Like, no, we actually played it that fast. It just, you know.
Yeah, no, fascinating. Well, I'd love, you know, we do a segment here on the podcast, like a little story behind the song segment. And I'd love to just, if there's a song off of Leaders that you comes to mind, I mean, just to give us a little tidbit of it, maybe a little taste of it, and then tell us a little bit behind the story behind it or something, unless you had another song in mind.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, maybe I'll go back to an old song because, maybe I won't share a lot of stuff before it's out.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
we were trying. We were just trying to, you know, sneak it in, but. I know, we were close.
So I think back to really when I kind of like was really experiencing music in my voice, my songwriting style for the first time, and really, well, I'll just say I wrote songs for a long time. I started writing songs when I was maybe like 15 or 16 years old, and never really. I wrote a lot of like really bad songs, you know, a lot of really, just kind of like awkward songs, and I never really was happy with anything that I wrote, and really when I really dug into playing reggae music, it was around a time when I was experiencing, you know, my first real great like spiritual evolution and connecting to music in a different way, connecting to Rastafari and music and reggae music and its spiritual nature, and a lot of things changed in me then, and I started experiencing writing songs in a different way, being open to the ideas of the universe, you know, the being more of a vessel for, you know, what Jah really wanted me to say, and through that experiencing and kind of harnessing these more universal messages. And so I started writing a lot of reggae music, and for a while I was just like really strictly doing reggae music. And you know, tonight, like I did the song Sweet Sound, which is like a song that's got this real, it's like a more of like a Delta blues style of picking, which is kind of a style of music that I played a lot of before I got, you know, into that strict more reggae music kind of phase, and then I started thinking about it over time, and realizing that, you know, I'm really like an amalgamation of all of my influences that I've all, you know, even through my guitar playing style and my singing style. And I wrote this song, this tune called My Love, and it was really like for me, it was the first song that I had written that I felt like this could be the best song I ever wrote or ever write, you know. And I think like I kind of thought of the song Redemption Song, you know, when I was writing it. I was like thinking like, is this like what Bob Marley felt like when he was writing Redemption Song? And you know, obviously I could never hope to write a song as incredible as Redemption Song, but you know, just that feeling of like, this is like really, you know, a very special gift that's coming through. And it was kind of the first song that came back outside of that realm of just strictly reggae music, and kind of paved the way for me like to reincorporate a lot of those styles that I was singing in. How much of the song am I supposed to play?
Just a little piece of it.
In this life, this so sweet life, we are put to the test. Oh yes. So with this love, this blessed love, I will do my best. Oh yes. Cause it's a rough and rocky road we're all traveling on. Such a heavy load to carry alone. Slipping up and falling down, feels like this world is upside down. I wish I could be there for you in all the ways you want me to, but my love is all I have to give. Give love is the reason that I live. So I'll sing it from the mountains. Hallelujah. Yeah, so
It's awesome.
thanks.
It's great, Mike.
You know, I did I've done a couple tours now with Stephen Marley, you know, Bob's second son, and he's like so it's really beautiful human. And you know, the first time I met him, I was doing a tour, part of his like Babylon by Bus tour, and he kind of he has a lot of different. He's had a lot of different artists that have been through here, like Hyrie and I think Protege, Kabaka Pyramid, Jesse Royal, do like different set, like a week of tour, you know. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, you know, when I first the first show that we had on that tour was last year. And, you know, he's like, I showed up at the tour and I'm just kind of like getting my stuff. And then he come out of his bus and he's like, just seen me from across the way. Mike, you know, he's just yelling at me like, I'm like, oh, cool, you know. He's really like, he really wanted me to be there. Like he was in, you know, he was into it. He, you know, it wasn't just like his management was figuring out artist, like, and he was really, and we made like a really cool connection, and he's really supportive, really loving, and then he asked me to do this tour with him this year, which was, he just released a really cool song called Old Soul, and it was the Old Soul tour, Unplugged tour, and it was just really, really amazing to be able to share like a bigger tour, you know, with him. He said he doesn't really ever do that usually with an artist, have an artist do like a whole tour with him. Usually he'll just have a bunch of different artists do that. So it was a real great honor. But, you know, going back to like what I was, the Redemption Song thing, because Redemption Song is my favorite song of all time. There's just something about that song that's so, every time you hear it, it just, I mean, it's undeniable. You play that song anywhere, everybody knows all the words, you know. It's just one of those songs. And if you ever see a video of Bob playing the song, the Redemption Song, he's playing this old blue Ovation guitar. And it's a really recognizable guitar to me because I've watched that a lot. And Steven has that guitar, and he had that guitar with him. I got to play Bob's guitar.
Wow.
And you know, and that was like,
wow, Mike.
I mean, you can't even imagine. Like, I picked that song up. I picked the guitar up. I played Redemption Song. You know.
Wow.
And I mean, it's like it was definitely like a really, it's indescribable feeling, because you think like, if I could like take this moment right here now and like show me 20 years ago,
Right.
you know, like it would just be unfathomable, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Amazing.
What a cool
Amazing.
story, man.
Yes.
It's awesome, man. Well, before we wrap up, any fans got Q&A, questions for Mike? Quick question to shout out to him. What's up, Lisa?
Thank you.
If you could like shapeshift and become any instrument, what would you be and why?
If I could shapeshift and be any instrument, I think I would be the voice. You know, I think the voice is the most incredible instrument. It's the most versatile. It can sound like any instrument. And it seems, it's like, it's just got the most shape and the most, I think it's the greatest instrument of expression. It's what we're born expressing ourselves through our vocal cords. And and many, like, if you listen to like a horn or a violin or a guitar, a lot of times we're just like playing and trying to play things that, you know, we would vocalize. And yeah,
It's
like the
awesome.
voice.
So, Leah, Hanani Avapuhi Makan from the island of Hawaii.
Oh, beautiful.
I want to know, obviously, we heard a little bit about what you shared tonight and the heart of your music and your soul. How do you, in the world of reggae today, keep the true heart of Hawaii and what the meaning of island reggae is in a world that you could get so lost in, because you delivered it so beautifully tonight? How do you stay true to who you are in the world of music?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think you know, growing up in Hawaii is a huge part of who I am, and a huge part of musically who I am. But I think you know, staying true to yourself, staying true to whatever you do is it's universal. It's always going to be a struggle, because there's always you know, there's always temptation to get drawn into. I mean, I think for a lot of artists that you see their evolution over time, and you think you know, they tend to sound more and more poppy, or they go in a different direction, and it's like you wonder, are they doing that because they just realize like that's what makes like stick figure sound like that, to sell 10,000 tickets for a concert versus like me and sound what I sound like, and like how could I do something that would make me sell 10,000 tickets instead of a few hundred? You start thinking about things like that, and it's just always going to lead you down the wrong path, because whatever Stick Figure's doing to get there, it's like that's his true path. That's what he's doing, and whatever I'm doing, it's like it's led me here. And I think you just always have to remember to like take a step back and look at the big picture, and just be grateful. I always tell people, like, when obviously a lot of people will come to me and say, hey, what advice do you have for somebody like trying to make it? It's like, just don't have expectations. Just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you fulfilled. Do what helps you evolve. Like I think, for me, I just take every opportunity to share and do it. And that's what's helped me evolve. But yeah, I don't know. I think staying true, it's always going to be a struggle, because there's always going to be that temptation to like be like, wow, man, it's like, it's tough, it's always tough. It's always like a lot of work, and it could be easier. Yeah. If I was selling 10,000 tickets, it'd be a lot easier for sure. But at the same time, like, I don't know, that's not my journey, and yeah, and I have to be grateful for it. I mean, it's so amazing. I'm so blessed. I'm blessed to just have the voice that I have and be able to share the songs that I do, because everything else aside, it's saved my life, It's healed me. It's saved my life many, many times, in times when I didn't know where to turn, and there was nobody I could turn to, and I turned to music, and a song comes through, a message comes through that keeps me from that, jumping off the ledge or whatever, It's at its core, it's my meditation, it's my healing, and I get to share it with all of you. And I think because I'm just open to it in that way, it comes through as something universal that like you can take, and you might apply it to some completely different situation in your life than I did, but the message is, and the energy is universal, and makes it that way, so that and that's why people do gravitate towards it, because it's not just about me, it's about our spiritual experience, and we all experience the same, emotions: happiness, joy, sorrow, sadness, suffering, confusion, loss, If you can just tap into those things on a basic level and, share.
It's awesome, man. What a great question, great response. Mike, thank you so much for taking some time to even just...
Oh, got more questions.
Go. I know. All right, we got time for one more question. One more.
How did Dan Kelly ask you to marry him and his wife?
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about you at the Virgin Islands.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I know, we were... Okay. Yeah, set us up. So you were at the Virgin Islands recently because Dan Kelly asked you to marry him. So
I don't think,
well, sorry, I fucked that up. I drank too many margaritas. I smoked too much weed.
You did, yeah.
But to facilitate, to officiate.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm on all the time. Y'all give me shit for one thing.
No, I think I think I actually asked him because
You asked him to marry him.
Yeah, I asked him to marry me.
To marry you. Yeah.
But he said no. I've already got this gal. No,
I'm married too, so I guess it would work out.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a conversation that we were having, and it was like he was talking about he was talking about, they were getting married and they were going to go and do it in the Virgin Islands, and he said, he wanted me to come and play music. And I was like, cool, man. Well, I can marry you guys too if you want.
Nice.
You know, because I'm an ordained minister. I've married quite a few people now, as well as my friends Antonia and Nicole, who are here
Awesome.
tonight.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
He's like, that's like your side hustle. You're like, you can submit your requests to Mike Love.
It's not really a hustle, you know. Like,
Just
honest,
kidding. I'm kidding.
to be
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
to be honest, I really only do it for people like I really care about,
Yeah,
because
course.
I like doing it. It's really cool, but it's a lot different than playing music. It's very different, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a
It taxes energy, but in a different way.
well, it's just like I mean, I'm good. I feel like I'm good at playing music. I'm really comfortable doing it. I've never been like one to have stage fright or be like worried about a performance or anything. That's always been one of my gifts, is I never really worried about it. But when I do weddings, I get really nervous, you know. And so I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm. But you know, like it's so it really does. Like if you said, "Hey, can I pay you to be my?" I probably, if it's not somebody I know,
Right, yeah.
I would probably just, you know.
Nah, it's not
Well,
gonna happen.
you did a great job on the Virgin Islands. And as the editor of that wedding film, you made my job very easy.
That's great.
Cool.
It was
Mike
a
has a
beautiful
way of
story.
doing that, right?
Beautiful
Yeah.
story that's
That's awesome.
laid out with your message, man. It was awesome.
It's so great.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, you know, I do appreciate doing it for people that I love, because I think it's a special moment, and to have somebody that cares about you just kind of curating a little it doesn't take a lot, but it's just like a little powerful message that hopefully, you know, you can bring along with you
Right.
on your marriage. And it's like you could hire a minister that you don't know, but it's kind of cool to like makes it special to have it.
Yes.
You know, so because I mean, it's like two people that are completely in love, that are going to spend the rest of their lives together, standing up there with somebody they don't even know. It's like
agree.
it should really be somebody that cares about them, you know,
agree,
yeah.
if it's possible. So I do appreciate being able to do that.
That's awesome. We got one more question.
I got a question.
What's
Justin,
up, Justin?
Wild card.
okay.
It's a wild card.
Is Bigfoot real?
Is Bigfoot real?
Yeah, I don't what the...
Well, how long do you guys want to be here, though?
No, that's the thing. Oh my God.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, you had some sincere question.
No,
Justin is such a fan of
Justin,
Mike
dude.
Love. Oh, is Bigfoot real?
Let's.
I think I believe in Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot's real. I live in an area where a lot of people have Bigfoot experiences. We had a Bigfoot experience pretty recently when we were in Montana, and a lot of times what Bigfoot do is they they'll.
He's talking about them like they're real.
Let's go.
Well, what
go.
they do is
I'm in.
no,
like it.
because I do know a lot of people that have had very real experiences with them, including myself, and so a lot of times what they'll do is like they throw rocks. You know, if they don't want you around, they don't generally show themselves to people. They're interdimensional beings, so they can be there and.
Whoa,
You-
whoa,
it's
what?
true.
That's
It's
a
true.
whole new element. I didn't even know
You didn't know
about.
that?
No, I haven't
Oh.
been studying Bigfoot recently. I've
So
had
did-
a lot going on.
So they throw rocks at you?
Well, they will. They'll throw rocks. Yeah, and so we were hiking through the woods in Montana, and then just like there was nobody around. I mean, nobody around for miles. You know, a big rock comes just sailing through the air, lands right in front of us. You know,
Nice.
and it's like, oh. And we're just like, okay, all right, we're going.
Outta
Yeah,
here.
right.
Yeah,
It's your warning shot.
yeah.
It's good to
Yeah,
know.
that is good to know. If I see a rock flying at me, okay, I'm sorry.
Decent question.
Yeah. You know what? It's a wild card, and you fucking nailed it. You knew so much more. I learned so
something.
interested right now about the reality of the existence of Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, there's like a lot of Bigfoot festivals and stuff around where I live. Yeah, my
So,
wife is like,
I guess
my
just-
wife is way, you know, like you.
We're
you
so
could have
far
a whole
removed.
podcast
Bigfoot wouldn't
with-
be living
with
here.
her, yeah.
So I didn't realize that the
Scumbag.
community is alive and well. of-
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like from the sightings that I know, they do seem to like. I don't know. I've never
They
heard
don't
of
want to be
Bigfoot
seen.
in Florida, but
Yeah.
they're definitely like up there a lot in Canada and like Alaska and the
Where it's really
Northwest where it's remote and like they don't
sense.
they don't really want them. I don't think they really care to make contact with people. There's a lot of Native American stories about them, and I have one of my best friends is Native, and he's told me a lot of. He's had like some crazy experiences, man.
Well,
where
like
he's
what? Like what?
oh man, just like
Just one short one. Just one short.
Well, he had one like that where with the rock, but
Yeah.
only like him and his brother were out in the woods, and so what they would do is like if they were going into an area where they knew Bigfoot would be, they would like leave like offerings, and so he like left a rolled tobacco, and he left a rolled cigarette for the and some candy as like offering.
That's your timer.
Is that mine?
I think so.
Oh, that's totally mine. It's my garbage alarm, so it's
He's like, it is. It's 10 o'clock.
yeah, it's my alarm. It reminds me that I got to take like my driveway is
I
like
can
a
respect that.
half a mile long. In Hawaii, I could like hear the garbage truck coming and be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
jump out of bed and run the garbage can down. My driveway now is like a half a mile long, so I definitely got to do it the night before.
See? Same as me. I get in trouble for that all the time.
For setting an alarm?
Forgetting to take the damn trash to the road.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
forgetting to. Yeah,
I don't anymore.
You might
That
need an
now that
alarm.
there's like 60 people at the house all the time, we can't forget.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
We do not forget trash day.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
So
All right,
sorry.
I want to
That
talk
was
more
me.
about Bigfoot, but let's wrap this up.
Yeah. Anyways, the long story short, he left like that cigarette there, and then his brother had come back and smoked it, and so like and then later on they were like walking back through there, and this like giant like a boulder like this big came like sailing through the air and landed right in the spot where he had like left the cigarette, and they
whoa.
sort of figured like
Whoa.
it was mad
like, "Yo, I want
because
my
it was
cigarette."
like you
Yeah.
left this for me, and then you like
Yeah.
went and took it back.
oh shit.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
and
Dude,
that-
I don't know what I would do if I saw a boulder soaring through the
yeah, like not the kind of thing that any of
Yeah,
us
this-
could like
you're
pick
right,
up and throw.
yeah.
Like he said, it was like
yeah.
like
Now, when you
From
say
afar.
interdimensional being, no, I'm fucking around. We gotta wrap this shit up. I am such a conspiracy theorist. It's a truth. Anyways, Mike, thanks so much for joining
Thank you,
us,
Mike.
man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for an amazing night. Thank you to our audience and all of our fans and our Sugar Shack family followers. Couldn't do this without you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this and share it. Make sure you're following Mike Love on Instagram. Where can they find you on Instagram?
Mike Love Music.
Mike Love Music.
Boom.
All right. That's a wrap on this episode of Sugar Shack Podcast. We'll see you next time. Come on, give it up one more time. That's a wrap, everybody. Hell yeah.
Sit back, relax, 'cause it's time for another podcast.